All right, so where have the streams been? What have I been doing? I've been doing something. I've been farming Mythic Plus, man. It is very boring. It is the same shit over and over and over again. I've been watching the Race to World First. They've been running triple Boomkin, triple Shadow Priest, triple DK. You know what I mean? Like, you watch all this stuff going down, you're like, Jesus, man. So what have I been doing? Where am I at? Here's my character. No, I'm currently in on the right spec, but here's my character. Here's how it's going. I have not received any tier. Like, we have a bunch of Zenith players in our raid, so like getting Zenith tier is going to be hard. Not only is it going to be hard, it is going to be like, we'll have 4-piece eventually, but I just have no tier because that's just the way it happened. You know what I mean? I've farmed every single slot I could. I think I'm missing 3 eye levels on a necklace, which I can still farm the Cinderbrew neck, and a chest piece. I'm not really too worried about the chest piece, just because the chest piece in raid drops at 655 from, I think it's what, like Styx or Rick? Yeah, the heroic version drops at 655, so like, even if I get a token for a chest piece, then it's... If I get like a normal curio, then yeah, I need to farm out the chest piece, but I'm not really too worried about it right now. But I've farmed out all the stuff, got a bunch of trinkets. This is where I'm at. This is how it's going. It's going pretty good, but I'm at like 60-something dungeons right now. So I've been doing a lot. But why has Fury been played in the raid? And why haven't we really seen arms? And the answer is actually pretty simple as far as like I'm concerned, and it's that we will see arms later. But if we look at the bosses, Vexing the Gear Grinders has ads. What is Fury good at? One of the things that has been a staple for Fury Warriors is the fact that you lose very little relative single target damage to do AoE compared to other classes. So, what about these bosses? Vexing the Gear Grinders? Well, you just play Fury because there's ads, you do cleave. It's pretty self-explanatory. Cauldron of Carnage, there is arms potential here. Basically, if you pre-use your cooldowns on arms for like about 10 seconds before the pull, so you pre-use Roar and Avatar 10 seconds before the pull starts, they'll be up for the Clash phases, and you should be able to have Sweeping Strikes to target with their cooldowns on Clash phase the whole time, which is pretty good. But I'm assuming they probably just played Fury because you're mainly fighting one target at all times. You're just sending your cooldowns over and over again. You don't have to really think about it too much. It's just, I don't really need that kind of arms cleave. I need to look and see what Echo and Liquid ran. I'm pretty sure they just ran a Fury Warrior. But it's also because arms received a nerf and Fury didn't. They are basically neck and neck before this nerf, and now arms is doing, on a 5-target sim, less damage than Fury. And it's mainly because arms has better execute phase, where Fury just does more damage the whole time. So, when we're looking at it, bosses like One Arm Bandit and Muggsy, when you see that they're very, very dedicated towards execute, we do not know what Chrome King Gallywix is going to look like on Mythic. So we do not know what this boss is going to be on Mythic. But we do know that these bosses are going to be very, very execute focused. Nothing really matters until execute, obviously doing the mechanics, but you don't actually start a timer. And then this boss literally has a mechanic where you get it to 30% and it says, hey, you have to kill me in X amount of time or your whole raid dies. So execute important. Muggsy, same thing. 40%, you phase. You have to kill me in X amount of time because of this Moxie buff, where it gains increasing damage every 5 seconds. Otherwise, you just die, right? So it's like, okay, is Gallywix going to have something like that on Mythic? We don't know. The whole thing about Mythic is unknown, really, for Gallywix. So could be another execute phase, could be not, could be 2-target, might be good for arms, might be good for Fury. We don't really know. So we prepare for both. So we're looking at the bosses. Probably going to be looking at the bosses. Fury just performs better here. Arms or Fury can perform fine just here. Arms might have the advantage based on the kill time, but otherwise could just be just fine Fury or Arms. Rick Reverb, also another Fury fight. You, once again, lose very little single target, get AoE. AoE really matters on this fight. The little bomb things have to die or your whole raid explodes. So, obviously, being able to do AoE. One of ARMS' difficulties, it's not as bad as it was before, but one of the things that ARMS has always had a problem with is you can build for AoE, or you can build for single target. And you can kind of do a mediocre... You can do, like, pretty decent single target with, like, cleave, but then your actual AoE is still kind of mediocre and mid. And because AoE still really matters on these fights, well, you just play Fury instead. Easier to play, and it's pretty straightforward. You do cleave. Right? It's pretty simple, man. So, then, once again, you look over at Styx, bunch of ads to deal with. Basically, what we're seeing in the Race to World First, they're playing Sprees and Boomkins, all this kind of stuff, to break those ads, break the bombshells off of the medium dirt garbage piles. They get pulled in and just get meat cleavered down with all the casters. The mages are just spam pushing into the boss, and their ignite is proliferating and spreading to everything and just killing everything, while the melee DPS are just meat cleaving off the boss the whole time, just because single target damage still really matters. So once again, single target matters, AoE matters, so you just play Fury because it can do both, right? Sprocket Monitor is going to be interesting. This boss just naturally has an soft enrage over time, just does more and more damage. But one of the things where you go, oh, this will be the ARMS boss. But the thing is, as it stands, from last I've talked to someone about it, ARMS was only about 400k ahead of Fury in a 3-target execute sim. And most of the time, we're realistically not getting a 3-target execute sim. A 3-minute execute sim. And these execute phases aren't really lasting that long. So considering how little time you actually have in execute to kill these bosses, well, you might be wondering, is it just going to be Fury all the way? We really thought it was going to be ARMS, but is it going to be Fury all the way? But I think when we get to One Arm Bandit and Muggsy, that these bosses are going to really show how good ARMS is. But I think there's going to be something interesting about it. Because one thing I'm very keen on doing, or one thing I like to think about when prepping for things, is you need the right tool for the job, right? If there's single target required and there's AoE, well, there's Fury. Is it just single target and there's execute really required? Well, there's ARMS, right? You have, in your class, you can do different things and you play what's right for the job. Is it 2-target cleave? Destro lock. Is it spread cleave? AF lock. You know what I mean? There's a tool you can use to do the right thing. You don't bring a screwdriver when you need a hammer. So that's why when I'm thinking about these bosses and I'm thinking about potentially Gallywix, which might have another execute phase or a secret phase, we don't know what's going on with that. You prep for both, but there is one thing, right? One thing that ARMS can do that nobody else can do. And that is the talent fatality. This talent allows you to take your damage and condense it into sub 30%. No other classes might have execute, but they might not take the ability to do damage during the boss fight and then allow you to have a burst of damage condensed into the execute phase. That is what's actually important with fatality. So we have that on top of ARMS' better execute phase on top of Fury. So while you might think, oh, these execute phase might not last long enough for ARMS to actually be the play, I honestly think fatality might really have a play. Previously, fatality was pretty bad, but they've actually made some changes to it. The changes are that your damage amplifications and stats matter with fatality now. This used to only really scale with strength. That's why popping fatality in your test of might window was so important, because it just stacked with the amount of strength you have. But now it works with your avatar, it works with your Colossus Smash, it works with your potion. Like, fatality is probably going to see play because it's a tool for that timed execute phase where you only have so much time to kill the boss. So realistically, what arms might be doing is you might not see arms topping overall, but you might see it doing the most amount of damage in that execute phase, partially because of fatality. However, you have to play around it properly. Because fatality is scaled with your Colossus Smash, your Avatar, your damage amp, the amount of mastery you have, all of that stuff, does it crit or not? There's going to be some variance, but no other class can actually prep damage for execute phase like this fatality talent. And it really might be important in the upcoming thing. Who knows? I might be talking out of my ass, right? People just might play Fury the whole time, and it doesn't matter. But I think fatality really could be a very important piece in this puzzle for the amount of execute damage we're going to need to kill these bosses in a progression setting on Mythic. Even if you're running 2-target cleave, right? Like you're thinking about one-arm bandit, or there's 2-target on Muggsy. You take a point out of Bloodborne, put it over to improve sweeping strikes, and you can still run it. So you can even run something like this on one-arm bandit and Muggsy. But this fatality talent, I think, might be important and really might see play in the upcoming race. And I'm very curious to see what it looks like when these bosses actually get hit and these execute phases start getting mathed out and timed out and things start really working towards their advantage. Which honestly, in a tier, for Fury to be really good and Arms to be really good, and you're allowed to play both and perform well at both, is pretty cool, actually. It's very, very cool. We still don't know exactly what Gallywix is going to do, but the fact that both of them have very good use cases in these bosses is really great. It really means the warrior class is kind of flourishing in Raid. You're able to play whichever spec. Even if you're not playing Fury, you can probably still play Arms, right? But the fact that both of these specs are very, very good and allow you to solve different problems with them. Fury doesn't really have the burst AoE capability it used to, but it still has that meat grinder kind of Fury play style that is still very valuable to fights with a lot of adds. So I'm really looking forward to see what they actually end up deciding to do in the Race to World First. Gallywix being an enigma. Jesus Christ, I gotta go to bed, man. Is also a very, very large or very high potential. So I think it might be just a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I've just been watching the race the whole time, just spamming Mythic Plus, getting as strong as possible. But I still think Arms is going to see its day. I think it's going to have its due. It is going to perform quite well, I believe, in the race. And what do you guys think? Do you think Fatality is going to be the savior of Arms? Because it can, depending on how you set it up, it can do, I think one of the sims was like between 6 and 32 million damage on a pop. That's really, really good. Like, imagine if you play 2 Arms Warriors and they do a combined extra 60 million damage on top of the execute damage just because they're playing and properly building up Fatality. Like, I don't know, man. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the problem solving. I know a lot of people... One thing I do find very weird about the Race to World First is a lot of people look at what they're doing on sticks, for example, with triple Boomkin, they tried triple DK, that didn't work. They tried multiple tanks. They provide Windwalker monks for DPS. Like, it's very interesting to see them try and problem solve these bosses with these different classes, and I think that's really, really cool. But a lot of people probably look at this and look at those bosses and go, "Hey, man, what's going on here?" I do think the curve and the difficulty of this raid is another interesting discussion, because you look at Vexy and Cauldron look like very fine and very killable bosses, right? They look not too bad, and it's something most guilds will be able to do. But then you look at Rick and you go, okay, Rick's got some more movements, got some more progression. There's a lot of damage going on. They 3 healed it instead of 4 healed it for the damage check. Okay, Rick's doing stuff. All right. And you look at because you look at Rick doing that. You look at whatchamacallit. You look at Styx and you go, man, they're like their first wipe to enrage was like 20%, like 21%, and now through different classes and changes and optimization, I think one of their best polls was like around 11%, but 2 people were dead for a long time. Like the way they're optimizing and improving, I believe Styx will certainly die this reset. I don't know about Sprocket, but it's very interesting to see the difficulty curve of this raid, where it's like Vexy and Cultural Carnage. Okay, yeah, they're pretty hard. Go up to Rick Reverb. All right, that's definitely a bit hard. Styx. Okay, we're looking. All right, we're doing. And then I don't know what Sprocketmonger even looks like yet. I think Echo is doing some polls on it, but we'll have to see. But yeah, man, I'm honestly just not streaming because I am simply enjoying the race. I'm assuming a lot of other people are enjoying the race. A lot of what I like to do is Mythic Plus and rating. So when we're rating, I'll stream. When I'm pushing higher keys, once I get tier sets, I'll stream, stuff like that. But that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of what's happening. And that's why they're playing Fury in the Race to World first. And I believe we'll see some arms because I really think it has potential. Anyway, that's it for me. What do you guys think? I don't know. God, bro, I hate asking, like, hey, what do you guys think? Because then it's like, oh yeah, bro, like, comment, and subscribe. If you do that, I'll be able to buy my cat 45 cars. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like a dumbass. I like the whole hit the bell. Like, anytime I hear someone say that shit, I'm like, just shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear, like, I don't care. Shut up. Supposedly it works, but, like, I hate that shit, man. I don't like it. Anyway. That's it for me. I'm going to keep grinding, keep farming. I'm also starting to work on gearing my hunter, so our splits are faster, are more efficient. I don't know if we're going to be splitting hero Gallywix as well with the time that we have. I am not sure what the plan is. I just want to be as prepared as possible, so I want to put all that work and effort in. So I will see you when I see you. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.